Action starting now.
We don't do any
Scott
of that.
Aukerman, 21 questions. Here we go.
Oh,
How many
21.
pilots are there?
Pilots? Like TV
20
pilots?
21
pilots.
pilots.
Okay.
Every answer is going to be 21. Here's a heads up on every answer for every question. Be 21.
Okay.
How old do you have to be to drink?
21.
What's your favorite Kevin Spacey movie?
21. K-Pax.
He lost already.
But he stands by K-Pax. He always has and always
Loves
will.
K-Pax.
Yo, totally. I almost reported this to the TSA.
What happened?
I got dinged for a special screening or whatever going through the and I had to go through the puffer machine, and then they were like, "Oh, just step aside. You're a random screening." The TSA agent who checked me, I said to him, I'm like, "Bro, this is really inappropriate." They fucking hand all the way up, like this part of their hand, fully on my nuts, fully going across the top of my dick like this with their hand, going into my waistband and around. And I was fucking I felt, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think, violated. I felt truly violated. And it was like first thing in the fucking morning. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm going to the guy, I'm like, really? And he's like, turn around. I'm like, you have to do more? He's like, and he wasn't speaking great English. He's like, yes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, this is happening out in where everyone's going to get their bags. I'm standing over on the side, and then, there's like 8 people waiting for their suitcases to come out, looking at me, and I got this guy fucking going around the ring of my fucking waistband. It was so upsetting. I did not like it at all, and I'm
horrible.
a creep.
Getting dinged is the worst. Did they search your bag?
No.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's good, because that's another 25 minutes when
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
Did you have weed on you?
No.
That's good.
I think I was flying international.
Oh, yeah.
I'm too afraid to fly to Canada with
we've
it,
talked
yeah.
about that. Yeah. That's like.
I think the statute of limitations is gone. The craziest, I flew to Mexico one time and I peeled the weed tincture label off of a little glass vial and put a beard oil label on it.
And it was fine.
And I never got so every morning I'm like dropping fucking beard oil on my tongue.
It probably definitely tasted like that too.
Like, if they checked it, they would have been like, I guess this is donut flavored beard oil.
Yeah.
But enough of our bullshit. Let's bring the king of bullshit on podcasts out here.
A true innovator. We've had a lot of pod daddies on this one.
I know.
This may be the king.
This put me on way more than Marin ever did.
Oh yeah.
You at least you did do a WTF, by the way. We haven't talked about. I don't think we talked about the episode. Great episode.
Oh,
your
thanks.
WTF.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
I remember
ago.
you were like my closest friend to ever do it. So, and as
cool.
a fan, it was when I stopped listening. Well, after I stopped listening to the show, where I only cherry pick. I stopped listening to comics and only listened to like interesting artists.
Yeah, it's
but
hard
then I was
not
like,
to.
AP, I gotta throw it on.
Yeah, I mean that's like a highlight of my life. Like,
But I have not listened to all your comedy Bang Bang appearances.
You've been on most of them. With
Yeah, I know. Well, no, I think I've been on like 50 times on the show too, which is another crazy stat. It's
Amazing.
like we've been
I mean,
old for
I
so
really
long.
do. I think I mentioned it when we talked to him, but I really do equate this guy to like the Conan O'Briens, the Lorne Michaels, the finders, cultivators of comedic talent that have gone on to become like defining cultural icons.
Yeah. I mean, he gave me a start in podcasting by putting me on Comedy Bang Bang, and I got podcast fans. And then I started my own podcast. Now I'm pretty much everyone knows me as the guy who does so many podcasts. And it all started because of Scott, for better or for worse.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm so grateful.
He's that. I think that's like he's so funny and one of the great comedy writer and directors of our generation. But I think he'll also probably mostly be remembered as like one of the great assisters in your career.
Oh yeah, he just put so many people on.
The amount of people is wild.
Well, let's stop sucking his dick off Mike and start sucking his dick on Mike.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scotty Ox.
Thanks for having me on, guys. So what is this show again?
The shoe is on the other foot now.
Yeah,
huh?
totally.
Doesn't feel so easy.
Well, you were supposed to come with a fully prepared character.
Okay.
And I hope you watched the whole TV series.
Here on Staying Alive.
I did watch the whole TV series, by the way.
Oh, good.
I love that show.
Oh, thank
Your
you.
show?
Oh, ours?
presume
I was
we're
just talking about. I thought we were all going to watch Shogun and talk about it.
Okay. We can talk about your TV show if you want.
No.
Let's do a recap show for your show.
No.
That'd be let's do 6 episodes of Staying Alive that is just us reviewing our own show. Would be such a funny bullshit thing.
Doing behind the scenes tidbits.
Feels like shy.
4 years after it came out, no one even cares anymore. Scott, we actually do almost nothing on this show except ask the guests one question.
Oh, okay.
And are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
What do you do to stay alive? What are you doing to stay alive?
When I do this thing at night where I go to sleep. And
you only do this at night now.
Yeah, I do it at night pretty much exclusively at night since I was
Never during
since
the
I was
day,
a baby.
even for a little bit of time.
Maybe for like 20 minutes to an hour and a half.
So it does happen during the day.
It does,
20
yeah.
minutes to an hour and a half.
That's a wide
90
window.
minutes is a lot.
I know they say 20
Don't wake me. 20 minutes or
an hour and a half.
If at 20 minutes I say leave me alone, don't come back for 70 more.
I try to wake up in the morning. That's normally
that's a good
you know
one.
what I mean?
Because that's one of the foundational parts of being alive.
Yeah.
Is waking up.
Is waking up because I find if I don't, then I'm dead.
But
So
you don't exercise?
I've had a long history of fluctuating weight and exercise.
I feel like a
over my
year
years.
ago, when the last time we hung out, you had a cast on from an injury.
Yes,
An athletic injury.
Yes, so that your good friend David Casp is responsible for.
And we've all had an athletic injury from David.
No, I was playing pickleball with David and Casey and my wife right before my daughter was born, and this is when I was in pretty good shape. Not the best I was ever in because that was during the TV show, but I was in good shape. I was exercising even while on vacation. I was we went to Hawaii with David and Casey,
and you got on the treadmill.
And I exercised 3 times when that week we were there. I went to the gym 3 times.
If you go to the gym 3 times on vacation, you should be an Olympian.
Yes, you're training for something.
We're giving you a gold medal as a guest.
And this is in Hawaii, one of the most beautiful places. I'm in the gym, just like on the cycle,
feeling good,
doing weights. So then a couple of months before my daughter was born, we were playing pickleball on a different vacation, and I broke my foot. And that then led to a long 2-year process of like being in casts, getting foot surgery, like all this kind of stuff.
Recovering and then dealing with the injuries you have from walking in a cast.
So then I had my daughter while I was in the boot, and I was like dealing with that, and then so it's been like this combination of having a kid, which now means I have like no time to do anything, and recovering, which I finally did about 9 months or so ago, recovering from this foot injury, which is just like knocked me out of mentally of doing any kind of exercise or anything like that. But usually I would be on the Peloton and doing weight training. Those were my two
said
things.
You on the TV show you were in your best shape, was that primarily like
out of vanity?
No, I was gonna say diet change, or like what got you there?
So I was
because normally when I'm in production is when I'm at.
That's when I fall. That's when I
Yeah.
become a mess because there's
And you're hosting, writing, executive producing,
show running.
Yeah. So I was really skinny growing up until about 25 when my metabolism totally changed. And then so I gained like a lot of weight, and I was pretty much during my 30s. I was pretty steadily. I had a trainer for a good portion of it, but he turned out to be insane.
I gotta hear.
In
what
crazy
way?
trainer.
What in what way? Of
A lot of
insanity?
different ways, but it was through a gym that I signed up.
And
to.
he was David Spade's assistant too.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Great reference. But I signed up for a gym, and then they said, you can really get results if you have a trainer, and you pay extra for the trainer. So I got this guy. He was this Brazilian guy who was pretty good, and I liked him. And I remember my wife saying, like, "You're in love with him," because I would always talk about things he said, like the first month or whatever. It was that honeymoon period.
Yeah,
like,
you're
oh,
like-
he says this, like I got to do this. And then he got fired from the gym, and he was like, can I train you off, at my house? And so I quit the gym and started just paying him directly for these sessions. And then he started being like, hey, can you pay me in advance? for these sessions. And then it got to the point of like, I know you've already paid me in advance for the next 6 months. Can you pay me for the next 6 months?
And then you get locked into like a year-long contract with
yeah,
this
and
guy.
so I've just fed this guy so much money that he swears, you know, he'll pay me back in training. And then the last kind of thing that ever happened was the day after 9/11, I had a session with him, and I went to his house, and he's like, come in here. And he pulled out the Torah. He had like a copy of the Torah, and he started like looking up verses in it of like, I don't know, whatever book, Ezekiel or whatever, 9/11, and it was like the fire will rain down on you, and then he counted the dots above the Hebrew letters, and he was like, look, 9. And then the next verse, 11, you know, and I was just like, okay. And this took up my entire session. I was like, all right, man, well, okay. Am I not paying for this one? He's like, no, you're paying for this one. I was just like, all right, this guy's just become too insane.
You're like, all right, just God bless. You just got 9 months of free training. I'm just going to walk away.
Exactly. So I just walked away. I saw him one other time when the M Bar, I was doing the Comedy Death Ray show over there, and they had an open mic on a different night, and he wandered into the bar and he saw me. He's like, oh, hi. And I was like, oh, hey, man. He goes, I'm going to try this. And he went up and then was an
This is the craziest thing you've said about him so far.
Then he was an insane person, just not even telling stories, just like saying weird things, and everyone was like laughing really uncomfortably. And he came off stage and he goes, they were laughing at me. And I said, dude, they were laughing at you. And, like a lot of pent up resentment, I think, the fact that I feel like I paid for that insult.
Well, yeah. Well, now you're also on your turf.
Right.
You're at a
Right.
comedy
Yeah,
club.
Once he comes into a comedy club, all bets are off. It's like, hey, how about this? Pay me a year in advance. I'll teach you how to do
Yeah,
comedy.
exactly. Yeah, and then I just never show up.
That's a real quick explanation of how status works, where you're like, okay, when we're at the gym, you can boss me around a little, but here I kind of win. I used to teach improv, and I was explaining status, and I'm like, it's not always the rich guy or the smart guy, because sometimes, like, I'm a slob, but right now I have high status because I know about improv, and you guys, and I'm teaching you, and I leaned back in my chair, and my chair broke, and I flipped over backwards, and I go, and now you have the status, like from the ground.
Perfect. When I had the trainer, I was noticing nothing was really changing all that much for me, and it wasn't until I did this series in order to get the Comedy Bang Bang TV show series of like shorts for the network, and I did the pilot, and then the pilot ended, and then the beginning of the year happened, and Weight Watchers I think was having a special, and I signed up for it, and I had never known anything about these kind of like apps that are pretty common now.
The points and stuff.
Yeah, the points and all that kind of stuff. Like they keep track of the carbs and the calories and all that kind of stuff. And so it was all kind of brand new, and it was math, and I could keep track of everything. So then I became like really obsessed with keeping to that system. And within like 2 months, I think I dropped 20 pounds just from diet, and I wasn't exercising, just from diet. And
you said it was math in a positive way. That's something that works for you.
That worked for me. Yeah, where it was just like, oh, okay, these are numbers. If I stick to these numbers, it works, and it did. And so in between the pilot and the second episode, I was like 20 pounds lighter, and that I think also got me prepared to do the TV show, because IFC was like, oh, okay, he's actually, like in shape. And
We can put this slob on television.
Yes, exactly. I remember I had to go to a meeting out in Santa Monica, and I was like, it was raining that day. I was like, I think I'm going to bail on this. And the head of the network was like, oh no, you don't understand. This is so they can look at you in person and see if like you're okay to be on TV. Wow. And I was like, oh, okay.
Business sucks.
Yeah. So then during the show, it was a combination of I would just do cardio and do the points. And
because you like set up that system for yourself rolling into it. So now you're not trying to reinvent the wheel while you're like built yourself a pattern or something.
Yeah,
to lean
and it
on.
worked. I mean, I got down to like 188 pounds, I think, during the TV show, and at the beginning of each season. And the first season, I remember the first season, I was like 188 pounds, and I think it only took 10 days to film or something like that. And then the minute the season was over, I started kind of eating normally again. And I remember when I got the call that season 2 was picked up, I remember feeling disappointed because I had to lose all the weight again.
Oh, God.
And it was like, and I'm sure I was also excited, but that's my memory of it, was that it was tinged with this
like, oh,
dread.
fuck, back to the point.
It sounds like you've always kept an eye on your weight. Like you
Yeah.
since you were a kid, you
No, I was always super skinny and made fun of for that reason. So it never was anything that I mean,
when the metabolism stops on the lanky guys, that's when you're like,
especially if you've been
fuck,
made fun of for being lanky,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, shit. Now I'm gonna get it for this. Like,
Yeah,
it's like there's
exactly.
nowhere to go.
And then also when you're just on TV in general, you're getting a lot of like, oh, you're ugly. Your smile is weird.
Yeah.
Your teeth is fucked up. You have
Yeah.
a weird body. Like you're hearing that all the time. So the 5 seasons I was on that show, it became after season 1, I had to lose all the weight again. It happened again on season 2. I was like, fuck. All right, here we go. Season 3. All right, I lost all the weight again. Luckily, between 3, 4, and 5 were all one thing over 3 years where we didn't have a break. So it was just like,
luckily.
but that 3 years.
Luckily for the network and their pay scale.
That 3 years, I just remember my remembrance of it is I never ate anything for pleasure. My father, who was on a G-tube before he died, I remember him saying something that I kind of related to, which was like, he goes, after a certain time, you don't even miss food. Like, you don't even think about it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I felt too. Like I would have a cheat day or whatever and be like, this sounds disgusting to me to have a burger or something like that. Because I was just so in the zone of I can't have anything, Right. So I just, for 3 years, I did that. And then when the show ended, I think I got a little bit more like, oh, okay, now I can kind of be a normal person. I'll still work out. And I did a better, where it wasn't just cardio routine. I was actually lifting weights and doing all that kind of stuff. So it was like a little more normal. And then, all this happened with the breaking my foot and having a baby.
And
so
you
now
gotta start all over. Yeah.
So it truly does feel like that. I saw my doctor recently where he said, like, you look good, you're fine. I don't see, and your health is fine. I don't see any problems. He goes, you have gained 20 pounds in the last 2 years. Like, is that something you care about? Do you want to do anything about that? And I was like, yeah, I do.
Right.
I don't necessarily have any expectations I'm going to be on camera again. So it's not
As
Yeah.
that is something that is pressing, and then you just like at some point get over it where you're like, I'm a fat pig, who cares? roll tape.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I always because I'm not like a skinny guy naturally. Like if I'm down weight, I'm really trying to do that. And sometimes it does come from like a movie. Like this last movie, I had to lose some weight for it, and then as soon as we wrapped, you're just like, well, I deserve a full pizza. You
Right.
know, like to like
every day.
until
Yeah.
you get to like another place where you're like, okay, that's enough full pizzas.
Right,
You know, like
yeah.
I got to get ready for the next thing. I feel like what can be dangerous for me in that is that it's so emotionally tied to if I have a next thing at the moment. So like you're like, you come off something where you were losing weight for, being in good shape, and then it's kind of blue skies. There's nothing ahead of you, so you kind of
You slip right back into
Right
the
back in-
habits.
yeah.
And then a thing comes up and
you're not ready for it.
And you're like, fuck,
You're
why didn't I just
I could have
keep
been
it
ready
maintained?
for this.
I could have
Yeah.
went down to like 80% strength.
I
I
didn't have. It doesn't have to be one way or the other, which is the thing
Dude.
we always talk about.
Oh,
It's
bro,
like,
this is what we're dealing with.
balance is the craziest thing
Yeah.
to achieve, and you feel it for like a week, and you're like, God, I'm totally locked in.
And then also if you get into these habits, what do they say? How long does it take to just
Everyone says different things, but like 13 days in a row,
Yeah, or 20, whatever.
Everyone has a different number there.
But when you just get back into eating again, it's just like after that amount of days, it's just kind of your lifestyle again,
Right.
and it's tough because with I'm in this weird position where I'm an older guy with a very young child that I have to pick up all the time.
Right.
Not weird
And-
in LA, but
No.
weird everywhere else.
Yeah,
Not in
know.
your neighborhood. But
But it's definitely, I'm feeling it where it's like,
You got to get down on the ground with her, get up, stand up, pick her
and there's
up.
a lot of like, come down here and play with me. I'm like, Daddy's not doing that, you
Yeah.
know. And it's just like, even just being limber and feeling like I can bend over and stretch, and even just walking upstairs now, you know, like I had to be in, I had to be in, what do they call it? Oh, rehab or whatever for my knees and stuff like that. And I'm feeling it again. Whereas when I'm working out regularly on a Peloton or whatever, my legs are strong, my back is strong.
Right.
Everything feels good, and I can pick her up. But I haven't been able to do that the entire time.
It's kind of a crazy thing because, like, when you talk about exercise, when you're young, it's all like vanity.
Yeah.
Then you get to a certain point where it's like, it's health. It's like you should be exercising to stave off death, to stay alive. TM. And then there's also like at
Have
some
you
point,
TM'd it, by the way?
We should.
we can't. Barry Gibbs
Morris
coming from.
Gibb might have something to say about that.
That was what that stood for?
I think so.
Boris Git?
The notorious GIBB.
But then you get to a certain point where you're like, being out of shape is preventing me from doing the things I want to do. And then this is a very specific thing of like, I want to be in shape so I could be a better dad or a more like active.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you realize you're like, fuck, that's a crazy place to be in. That when you were like 24 and just naturally lean, you're like, I want biceps.
And
But
not
then-
only a better dad, but literally an alive dad.
Yeah, 'cause
where
you wanna be
I think
around
about
longer.
that sometimes of just like, I do, most of my relatives have died at, you know, in their 90s or something like
That's
that.
amazing.
So I'm sort of like, always in my head, I was kind of like, oh, I have that amount of time probably, but it really feels like having a baby at 52. It's like, shit, am I going to be alive? You know? And it's one of those things where you want to be to see
You're gonna be
what
70
happens.
at high school graduation.
Yeah, or 71 now, we found out, because she was born so late in the year. So it's like, when I heard that, I was just like, mentally I could keep it together till 70, but 70 fucking one?
So it is like when your trainer says one more round and you're like,
Yeah.
I just did 10. And you're like, no, but you didn't do the right amount. You're like, now it feels impossible.
Yeah,
Now-
Yeah,
exactly.
but it's different now. Like, everyone lives so much later. Everyone looks so much better for
And
longer.
I wasn't a smoker. Or anything
Right,
like
and,
that,
and
so.
you're do you take medication? You're not like an anti-science person.
No, I have a really good doctor who practices preventative medicine instead of just like, as he says, instead of other doctors who you go in whenever there's something wrong.
Right.
He's like, I see him, you know, regularly. He takes my blood. He figures out what I need to be taking every day. I have a large pill box of like 15 things
Join the
that I
club.
take.
Welcome to the
every
crew
single
right
day,
here.
you know?
Yeah, big guy.
And-
Big old fucking box. AM
Yeah.
and PM on mine.
Yeah.
Me too.
But like there. I always hear people like sometimes be like, "Oh, I don't want to take another pill. Or I don't want to take now. Am I going to have
cares?
to take this for the rest of my life?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "What's the fucking difference?"
My doctor was saying that to me because I had really high cholesterol. That was the other thing about having that TV show, is I didn't see a doctor or a dentist for years because it just took up all of my time. And I remember being so scared when I went to see the dentist the month after the show ended. I was just like, here we go.
And dude, the guilt you feel before when you go to the dentist, you're like, I like pushed back a dentist appointment once to like try to spend a week flossing and brushing. Like I like crammed for the dentist.
You will never brush harder than right before the dentist when you haven't
the
been there in a long
longest
time.
I've ever brushed my teeth is the morning of a dentist appointment.
But I remember I went in, I was just like, all right, give me the bad news. And they were poked around and stuff for like 15 minutes. They go, all right, see you in 6 months. And I was just like, nothing really. And I'd been stressing about it for so long. But I think I forget what we were talking about.
You were saying
this,
then you
but
went back to the doctor. You started going to the doctor more seriously.
I had really high cholesterol, and that was a thing where he said to me, well, you can try to fix this through diet and exercise, and it's going to be a losing battle, because it's just, you'll have to really stay on top of it and be like, and this is even after losing all the weight and doing all the years of.
Right. This is after having diet and exercise. Going well.
And he's like, you can try it, or you can take a pill every day. And
what's that, a statin?
Yeah, statin.
Yeah.
He goes, you can take a pill every day. He goes, some people don't want to take pills every day. I go, who the fuck cares about taking a pill every day?
I mean, it's the number one thing I hear from people who like don't want to take medicine, is like another thing that I have to do every day, or now I'm going to be dependent on this for the rest of my life.
Sure.
It's like, okay, or you're alive.
Yeah.
You're alive.
And also, what's I mean, I have it with my coffee in the morning. It's like it's a thing I do every single
Takes
day.
2 seconds. It's like
exactly.
I don't understand what the big deal. I'd say I'm pro.
We're living in an age of modern medicine that can actually cure this kind of stuff or prevent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I've always been like a meathead, so it's like always been like when I was in my teens, you're like taking creatine pills, like nothing ever like bothered, you know what I mean? Like I never, when there was like, now it's time for medicine, I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't need blood pressure medicine. But if I do, I'll just take it every morning. What do you tell me what I got to do?
Yeah, tell
dude?
me when to take it and I'll take it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
if you needed glasses, you wouldn't be like, oh fuck, now I got to wear glasses every day for the rest of my life.
I mean, I did feel like that when I had to get my glasses. At the end of the TV show, I was noticing anytime I would look at my phone, it would be out here, and I'd be like, huh, and someone goes like, I think you need glasses. I was like, oh, really? And I just naturally did it. I was like, this is where I can read my phone. Blah, blah, blah.
Have you thought about LASIK? Because I heard it doesn't work that good anymore.
Well, also, I think after a certain age, it's just not
point?
even.
Yeah.
It like
your eyes
deteriorates
deteriorate
faster than like the LASIK can cure.
I had a question for you.
LASIK scares the fuck out of me. I'm thinking about getting a vasectomy, and LASIK scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Why are you getting a vasectomy?
So I could fucking do direct deposits.
Hell yeah, buddy.
I love that high five. I was going to ask you a question about because you are not just a podfather, but you're like a comedy.
I'm not just a podfather.
No, you're a comedy father too.
I'm also the president.
You're like, but you are. You're like a comedy, like. It's like you and Jon Stewart and Lorne Michaels, like people who like you identify talent and like you put them on, and so you've seen a lot of comedians, you've seen everybody, and you know what they do. How do you feel when like a comedian gets ripped? Do you feel like it affects them? Because that's a big thing that we talk about a lot. Is like part of our personas are great. Like part of what made us who we are and our appeal is that we look this way.
Yes,
and you know,
I think there's a certain amount of relatability that gets lost, and there are only certain parts you can play when you're ripped. I think it's not a bad idea to be like have a regular body while being thinner necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
Depending on your body type, you know, as well. But I think the ones who get super ripped for, you know, a certain movie or something like that. I mean, Paul Rudd kind of did it, but then it feels like he also. Why can't they just CGI this stuff?
I don't. You know? My thing, one step before CGI is the Ant-Man doesn't need to be ripped to be Ant-Man. He's a scientist. He's Hank Pym.
Well, he was. Come on now. He was a thief.
Gymnast. Sorry.
Michael Douglas was a scientist.
Sorry, I got confused with the original Ant-Man.
But you're right. But the Marvel movies back then had one scene every Marvel movie where the guy would take off his shirt.
Paul Rudd's first one is so funny too because he's doing the classic chubby guy look. Hide any fat you have because it's like his shot is turned around and he's like this.
You studied this.
I knew exactly what I saw that pose. I'm like, Paul giving it the old chubber. You know, because it's like his shirt's half off.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, but he did a good he did a pretty good job.
He's yoked now. I mean, and I feel like he
Mark Ruffalo had it best.
Mark Ruffalo can be chubby.
Bruce Banner doesn't, or David Banner, whatever he goes by. Bruce.
I think he's Bruce. Yeah. David was the.
But Paul, I feel like Paul did one of those things that a lot of people did where they like stop drinking. You know what I mean? Like where it's like diet change, stop drinking, and then they also are in superhero movies.
Yes.
Well, I think you can get comedy guys can get ripped. Comedy people can get ripped. We're mostly talking about the men here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, aesthetics is an even bigger minefield for women in comedy and entertainment in general.
We definitely shouldn't talk about it.
We should have a guest on to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, with the appropriate guest. Yes. This is not that episode.
Right.
Here we are. We're back with Scott Aukerman and Jon Gabrus.
Women's bodies.
Women's bodies. What do you like? What do you hate? What do you love?
What should we be in control of?
But I also think.
Sorry, real quick. I just think that sometimes an attitude change comes with it. Whereas, like, if this person was just like low key, also jacked, but didn't change their person, it didn't become like their thing. There's like this like impulse for comedy people to do sexy photo shoots now. I think because of Instagram
I've never
and shit.
understood that.
I don't understand that either. I feel like it like any impulse I've had for a photo shoot is always like comedic in because you're like, well, this is
or
part
clothing based
or clothing, but even clothing based. It's like when I've done those, I'm like, well, there's an angle on it. Like, what's the?
Well, there's
bit?
also just when you're a comedy person, they force you to hold props in
always.
Because like
rubber
every photo,
Tina Fey's got, like,
I had to with Earwolf, I had to wear fuzzy ears. For the Ferns movie, I had to have a big plant. Like it's just like they can't ever take a handsome picture.
The
of a
only
comedian.
time I've ever like put up a fight on that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like poster day, which is like usually like the last day of filming when everyone's there. They're like, we're gonna do poster day. They brought me in and they handed me a bagel. And I was like, I can't.
I'm hearing thousands of my ancestors at once telling me I shouldn't be doing this.
I can't be on the poster of a movie holding a bagel.
Did you eat a bagel in the movie ever?
I did. I made there's a line reference.
I ate 3 every day off camera.
Yeah, no, on camera up. No, there's a scene where I do ask like, what do you want in your bagel? But like, to hold the bagel in the poster, I was like, guys, I'm also in the movie. Like,
well, and you're a policeman,
a police officer. So it's like,
so it should be like a gun,
or
a
something.
donut,
or a donut.
Yeah, even a donut. You'd understand.
I begged for a donut. I was like, give me a donut. They're like, we don't want to do a cop holding a donut. We'd rather do a Jew holding a bagel.
Much better, guys.
I mean, this business is also just definitely. It's just hard because there's so much criticism of you all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just,
and it's rarely about the content.
And usually it's
the criticism is like based on like who you are as a person, like something that you even can't fundamentally change.
But it's hard to even like, I go out on tour and just knowing that there'll be quite a few people who are just like, oh, he looks like shit, or like, or even just doing a show like this. I'm on camera right now.
Right.
I can't say it was not on my mind coming here, going like, fuck, why do I have to be on camera today?
I would say you're OG in that you have an insanely popular podcast that's never jumped to YouTube.
And I don't want to, not just for reasons of like creatively, I think it's better
a little
for the
crazier
show.
to be like, I'm a 1 foot tall.
There is no way we could have done yesterday's episode on YouTube.
But I also just don't want people to have to come camera ready for a show because it's like, it just feels like more of a chill environment.
Jumping back to what you said about not wanting to have to be camera ready everywhere you go, I'd say in current culture, that's blown up out of even just entertainment, where like, I now am self-conscious because you'll be out with friends and they'll be like, let's pose for a picture, and be like, no, I wore sweatpants because we were just getting coffee with friends. And now it's like your 3 friends in fucking like produced layers and outfits, and they're grabbing a photo at a cafe, and you're like, oh, I'm dressed to meet friends at a cafe, not to see people.
It's very hard to maintain your sense of self in that, to be like, well, I don't care.
I went to a concert the other night and like literally just it was right down the street from my house, so I just put some clothes on, met a friend there 5 minutes before the band, and then was taking an Uber right back the minute it was done. And there was a fan there who's like, can I take a picture? And I'm sitting there going, God damn it, I'm wearing shitty clothes. I haven't shaved, so I have like a big gray beard. Like the things you try to hide when you're putting stuff out there. And it's not because I'm sitting there looking at my own pictures going like, great, I look fantastic or anything like that. It's because there have been a lot of things on the internet about me where people like, I'll be on someone's show, like one of these shows, and people go like, wow, he looks like shit, and it hurts. 50 people discussing what I should be doing in order to look better. And it's just like, why do I have to fucking deal with that?
It's like, and you're like, judge me for what I'm doing on like you say like, oh, he wasn't that funny, or he was like, that's like you're allowed to be like, to me that's like he didn't make me laugh as Gino, but then it'll just be like, sometimes it'll be like something about like your looks or your appearance or your voice,
or your
like,
voice.
Where it's like,
well,
I wish you would stop saying
get that.
Well, women get it most. Like I remember even like the early days of YouTube, it wouldn't matter what you were posting if there was a woman in it.
Yes,
the comments were going to be vile.
That was the early days of Bang Bang too, where I would find a female performer that I really loved, and you could always count on their first three podcasts that they would do, people going like, this person's voice is annoying, and people just piling on and piling on. Then around the fourth time they'd go, this is how it would go. They would go like, oh, I think I finally get them. Right. I have a comedy crush on them, which is like, no one needs to know that you want to stick your dirty dick into a female, like a comedian who's just
this is the only way where
to,
she turns a corner for you.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
you know
well, now that I want to fuck her, I think I can listen to her.
You know, and then finally
it's mom and Madonna, right? That's what they say. Like, it's either your mom or a whore.
Yeah, mom or a whore.
And then finally, after a little while, people, it like crosses into, oh, they're one of my favorites. I feel like those days are, we're past that a little bit.
Yeah, it's moving quicker now.
Yeah, it's moving in a better direction.
But I think it's also evening out the other way too, where everyone is subject to feeling like a woman in the early YouTube. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we're all fair game now, because it's not even just about what you look like, it's who you are, like what you're, anything, and you're gonna get it in the comments.
And I think that I grew up in a way that I really started to notice it when I was very concerned about my own looks and being on camera and stuff like that. And I started to realize that anytime I would have a conversation with my mother, especially, she would always, if she was telling a story about someone, she would always describe what was different about them first. So be it, she would always say like, oh, the woman who has gained a lot of weight who, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the, different race.
Right.
It's like passive aggressive nationalism.
In a way, it's like, hey, whatever isn't in her mind, what makes a person regular looking, which is white and skinny. You know what I mean? So she would go like, oh, the news anchor would, by the way, she's like gained 30 pounds over the past, it's like, I don't care, But
and it's not even part of this story. Just get to what
it was. And I know the news anchor. Yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
but I started to notice that, oh, I grew up in a household that put a lot of like importance on how you looked and how, like trying to fit into whatever made someone normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And me too. And my mom and dad were specific to like looking presentable.
Right.
And that was what mattered. And then I think I rebelled against that and like leaned into like that Jack Black kind of like, I'm wearing Crocs and like a bathing suit out at the.
But that's also comfort.
That's comfort. Well, that's the other thing is is that I was never comfortable dressed like that. And so now I wear shorts and short sleeves every single day.
But I feel like your ethos is like, I'm an adult and I'm in charge of my life and I will not spend any more time than I have to uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you also you have a style to yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Jess McKenna, she has that particular style that she likes, that she feels comfortable in.
And we line up from like May to September. We're dressed exactly the same every time we see each other.
It crosses seasonally.
There's a whole nother layer to the getting judged by the audience now that I want to throw out there for you guys, where people have lost, and I think podcasting is the reason this happened, is because a lot of people play themselves and talk as themselves on podcasts, and we're more familiar with comedy, with comedians' points of view, and I think and social media blows that up too, where we know every actor's POV, point of view on different things. I think now, like, we're on trial for things that like your character, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm finding people reacting negatively to stuff Gino has said on podcasts as if I actually believe it.
And because I'm playing myself on the show.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm often saying something that's like a contrary point of view for comedic effect or whatever, people think I actually mean it or something
like that. Scott hates this bullshit.
Do you think that that's just because there's like a loss of
media literacy, 100%,
or sarcasm literacy, because we're not like
irony
is lost. It's all on text.
But there always has been this interesting point where comedy that's ironic becomes too popular and people and dumb shits like it for the wrong reasons. I remember Tenacious D, because I've been seeing them since they started doing it. We were peers doing I remember they were like, thought that we were ripping off their act at some point, my partner and I, because they heard like someone else was in a 2-man thing.
Yeah.
And then they saw us and were like, oh, no,
two-man?
yeah.
We're the only 2 men.
Yeah, exactly.
Zero musical talent.
Yeah. Oh, they don't play music. It's fine.
But I remember the point where suddenly they were playing the House of Blues, and Odenkirk and I went to see them at the House of Blues, and there were way more people there than when it was just at Little Tiny Largo or something like that. And we looked around and it was all jocks, like singing along to these songs that we found to be ironic,
Like Fuck Her Hard.
Yeah, Fuck Her Gently or whatever, and going like, oh, there's a weird vibe to this crowd where they're like, they don't see the irony and they're just like, yes, this is the way that people should be acting.
Right.
And it's that strange
Danny McBride fans. That's where I find it the most in comedy, because like
Rick and Morty fans.
Rick and Morty fans, like Danny McBride is like I feel like my number one
of the funniest human beings alive. Yeah,
like North Star as far as like projects I want to make, the way he does it.
Right.
But his fan base,
it's
is
tough. And do you have a responsibility to make sure that your fan base explicitly gets it? Probably not, because I don't know that an artist has any kind of responsibility.
The only part where there is responsibility is who you align with after. Like, there is a question of like going on Theo Vaughn to promote your work is like a questionable thing.
Yes,
because it's like that what has happened, the fallout of that dude is really bad.
I feel like Seth Rogen navigates it really well, like he has been involved in projects that could be, have been ironically, viewed, but also viewed by so many people that he could have a fan base who's just like, oh my God, you're so
incel,
and yet he spends his time off camera sort of making sure that everyone knows where he stands on issues and being smart and not doing.
He's an EP on The Boys, which is a good example of people who are like, Homelander fucking rules.
Yes, that's a great example where suddenly in the 4th season it clicked with certain people of like, oh, you're making fun of us?
Right.
Yeah.
And this season sucks because you're making fun of us. No, it's been there since the beginning of, and since the comic. The comic was all about.
But you have to ramp up you have to like, be like, all right, we have to be even more blatant and the Action Boys on a small scale, because we talk about these 70s, 80s, and 90s action movies, we're pulling in a very specific type of listener on Patreon, which is already kind of like a weird kind of
and you're 3 guys
and we're 3 men in our 40s who are all heterosexual. And we're talking about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, we're not all. I love myself.
I don't know why you had to say that. I don't know how that changes.
Are you
everything.
trying to get chicks from this podcast?
But we're all single, heterosexual, big earners.
We're huge hogs, non-toxic masculinity. No, but we're talking about guns and breasts and all the shit that's in these.
Right.
And then every once in a while, we'll absolutely trigger like a handful of listeners. Here's one of the biggest things that activated a bunch of people. We were talking about future fashion in sci-fi movies. It's like no one ever really gets it right. And he's like, based on where America's headed now, we believe the future of fashion will be super lightweight, comfortable, bulletproof clothing for because you'll like there's guns, global warming, and people went ape shit on us. Like, here they go with the liberal agenda. And I'm like, this is not even, we're just making a joke. And then we realized we're like, all right, we have to like every couple episodes just drop some shit so people know that we're not like And look,
you're not
like Michael Jordan says, Republicans want to buy
them kids.
Fuck them
I'm
kids.
sorry.
What else
you're thinking of?
Yeah. Okay. He said Jordan.
Oh, sorry.
He goes like, Republicans buy sneakers too, is what he like famously said, right? And it's like, I'm like, I'll take Republican, I'll take fucked up people's money on, but I don't want them to think I co-sign any of the shit they're saying.
Well, it's an interesting thing that look, I started on Mr. Show, which is just like, was a reaction to sketch shows at the time of like, hey, sketch shows are very safe and sanitized. And I can't tell you the first time I ever saw Bob and David, like just how insane it was to see sketches with cursing in it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's wild. I forget that's why it was on HBO after dark.
Yeah.
Remember? Like
it was just like, oh my God, they're saying fuck so many times in these sketches, and he was like revolutionary. And then I worked on the show, and you always, Bob was very good about teaching us like, hey, you have to have a point of view. You like, I know making fun of this thing that like punching down essentially is funny, but you have to have a point of view on it, and you have to be on the right side of it, and you have to be trying to say, you have to at least be trying to say something about why you're doing this in order for it to be on the show, you know? So I thought that was really good, and it was something that I thought about, but you know, I've trafficked in you know, offensive comedy. I made a pilot called The Offensive Show.
Right.
You know, but
I played Johnny Depp on your podcast.
That's right. You know, and
I was on that episode.
Yeah.
Very funny. And Comedy Bang Bang has done that over the years, but it's kind of one of these things where like, you know, you also have to place it in the proper way in what was happening in culture at the time, you know what I mean? And it's like, I remember when we made the Michael Bolton Big Sexy Valentine's Day special, we were filming it literally when Trump got elected that week. And it came out in February right after he was inaugurated. And I remember sitting there going like, holy shit, we're doing sort of ironic
sex jokes and
masculinity. And I don't know that this is the time for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started kind of freaking out about it and going like, fuck, I wish this was coming out 3 months ago. Like in the writer's room, all of the writers dressed up like Trump for Halloween. Like, you know, because it was just so ludicrous that he would ever be elected. And it was like, ha, 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 this asshole.
Do it twice.
Yeah, you know? So it's very interesting. And now I look back and culture has changed or whatever, but it's just kind of a funny special and I don't care anymore. But like that particular month, I was just like psyched out about it. You know?
An example I always point to friends is there's a long ass Reddit thread that says, is Gabrus alt-right? This is how old it is. No one says alt-right anymore.
Right, yeah.
But it's like, everyone was using evidence of stuff Gino Lombardo has said on the podcast.
Right.
No one mentioning that Gino Lombardo's character canonically is also pansexual and like anti like almost everything. But like, and I'm like, he's a guy from Long Island. I'm making fun of how dudes from Long Island act. And it's like, that's being lost on some people. And that hurts me because I'm like, I don't even want to be remotely associated with that. And I thought I was as transparent as possible.
It's interesting because you also don't want to be, like you say, ham-fisted about the fact that you're making fun of it, because sometimes people will come on and try to make fun of something by doing it and just doing it the way that it actually is.
Right.
You know, I feel like sometimes SNL cold opens are like that, where it's just like the political cold open is like literally these comedians pretending to be politicians saying the things that they actually said.
Yeah, it's,
and
like, like Pete Hegseth doing like a light Mad Libs.
And I feel like oftentimes in these sketches you're referring to, it's just a reenactment.
Yeah, that's how it feels. And sometimes I do think comedy can kind of turn the corner on people of going like, oh, that person is stupid. Like I think Will Ferrell's George W. Bush like sort of hammered in with his strategery and stuff like that. Like, oh, people didn't really know he was that dumb, and now people
that's the stereotype.
Now people can kind of see he's a buffoon, or Dana Carvey's George H.W. Bush or whatever. Whereas I feel a lot of the political humor right now that SNL is doing is just purely, as you say, reenactment, where it's just like, hey, we all agree that this. Like there's no point of view on Trump that we don't know about.
Right.
He's stupid. He's an idiot.
Malicious.
He doesn't know anything. He's mean.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like you mentioned Theo Von earlier, and it's like he ostensibly could have whatever guests he wants on the podcast. He does have Bernie and he does have Trump.
He also seems like a dumb shit who doesn't care. Like I totally feel that everyone looks to comedians and goes like, they're truth tellers, they have to save us. And I think like the Riyadh Comedy Festival and Theo Von having these people on and stuff like that has just shown us like, and even like Jon Stewart, the host, you know, coming back to the Daily Show and his first episode being so like middle of the road, both sidesy. You're like, no, we were looking to you to tell the truth about what's happening.
Right.
I don't think comedians are. I think this time has really shown us that comedians only care about getting laughs and earning money. Like, like if some
people only choose one of those.
Yes,
but there's just to defend comedians on that, there's nobility in that, right? I think it's like there's like my job is to make you laugh.
Not if you pretend to be a truth teller.
That's where the
issue is.
Yeah.
And that's why we were talking about it yesterday. Like not one comedian came out and about Riyadh and said, I make my living doing comedy. It's really hard to earn a living, and they pay me a lot of money, and I really, really fucking needed
I need
it.
money.
I needed the money.
Or some of them, I want money.
Or some of them going, I want to take this money so that I don't have to take another job. And that's just me doing my, like,
or I don't really care. Like, all I really care about is getting up in front of people and making them laugh.
And I want money.
I don't care about politics. I don't care about the regime or anything like that.
No one said it right. Everyone was like, because I'm bringing rock and roll in blue jeans. It's like, fuck you.
Well, it's because no one was doing it for the right reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, 100% of them were all doing it just because it was a huge paycheck. Like, and they thought they could get away with it.
And it's like, had no one just said, look, fucking, I need money. I need money. It's like everyone can understand that thing.
Right. And I wish that wasn't a good enough excuse.
Yeah.
Because I'm so tired of the get your bag culture. I think it's destroyed entertainment where it's like people are like, well, fucking Van Wilder is printing money on gin. I'm like, but he used to actually be
people
really
used to have standards, and there used to be a term called a sellout.
Yes.
You would call people.
There's a distinct memory, and it might be I misheard, but your friend, I heard Zach Galifianakis back in the day was offered that PC versus Apple.
Right.
He was offered one of those crazy spokesperson things, and he was like, no, that I don't do that kind of stuff. I do comedy. And then, but everything since then has become, not only that, people are so excited when they're like, dude, Shane Gillis is doing Bud Light commercials. And you're like,
there's a certain, like, you get a Bud Light commercial, it's like, you're middle America. Like,
it's like the get your bag. It's because like it changed at some point where it was like get your fucking bag.
But I mean, I do think that we're all a little more attuned to, or hopefully as I think as we get older, we're a little more attuned to these kind of ethical questions or whatever. But also, is it good for comedy? Is it even good for this episode of your show?
No, like
these conversations. I don't know.
Well, I'm just happy to have it.
Yeah,
I'm happy that there are other people who it feels good when you reach out with other comedians who are struggling with the idea of selling out and the idea of like, because you can't just make a living being a stand-up comic anymore. You have to get to touring, you have to get to promoting yourself on social media.
And you'd be surprised how many of these conversations that I have with people I know where they kind of go like, hey, this is an ethical thing that I'm dealing with. What do you think? You know,
dude.
And
we're texting about it. I'm texting peers all the time. Just like, is this like, should I not do this?
Yeah.
Or should I do this?
You wonder about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I also blame the agents involved. Like, as much blame as is going to the actual performers. Who are these agents who convinced them to do this?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
People who saw like 10% of $500,000.
$3 million.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But shouldn't they have counseled their clients a little better of like what the implications for this are? Undoubtedly, they all said like, yeah, it's the regime that killed these people, but no one's going to care.
Well, the big thing I come to is in these conversations with friends, I'm like, if you're hoping no one notices, you're in the wrong.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because that'll happen sometimes where you're like, well, who cares? We'll just do it. No one's actually going to give a fuck. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, we're making the wrong choice here. Then we're making a choice we're hoping not to, quote unquote, get caught. It's like, no one's even going to pay attention who's that. It kind of happens so late.
Yeah,
But then
also I think
these videos come out, people are putting their hands in like sand and shit, and you're like, what are you co-signing?
Yeah,
I think Adam and I were talking yesterday. And I'm sorry you weren't there, but we had a conversation without you. I'm so sorry.
Good luck.
But the fact that there's a music version of that festival that's been going on for 3 years or so,
wrestling and golf and all this shit.
But now, who was Post Malone and Halsey? I think were booked on it. It was just announced yesterday. And because of the attention the comedy one got, now they're getting attention of like, should you be doing this? Whereas a lot of them did it 3 years ago and no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
But I think there's a certain thing with comedy that you excuse musicians where you're just like, they're just going to get a check. But if you're a comedian, comedy's so hard because you are the person of authority going like, no, you're all wrong.
Right.
I see the world in a different way than
for
you all do.
For at least this hour that I'm on stage, my POV is the prevailing POV.
And superior to the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, I think of things a little different, and I'm going to tell you how, and I'm going to have you come around to my point of view, right? And you're going to be laughing, going, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's a certain type of comedy, right? Yeah. And a certain type of comedy that a lot of these guys practice. So to have them be the people going like, no, I see things differently. And it's like, oh, you see things differently in a way of like you're just morally ambiguous or amoral? Right. Oh, okay, I understand now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's the unfortunate unfortunate place where we are, and it goes back to that bag culture where it's like, yeah, I am amoral. I'm amoral for everything around me except my own money, my own life. And honestly, I would have had a lot easier a time hearing that than people being like, well, we're bringing blue jeans and rock and roll over to a culture.
They got Starbucks over there.
Yeah, it's
You're
like,
oh,
yeah,
cool.
like I give a shit that
I don't
there's a
like
KFC.
Starbucks over here.
Yeah, that point was crazy. Where
Well,
it's
yeah, I think Burr tried to use like corporations as a defense. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like-
wait, no, that's we hate that about a society in general.
Yeah.
But also, I want to say again, everyone's line is different, and I have different ethical lines than other people do, and some people have not appreciated some things that I've done.
Right,
You know?
yeah, of course.
And I believe for myself that I am acting in a way that I think is moral and ethical. But I think
Yeah, you have to live with yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah,
That,
you know.
my big thing is I refuse to use ChatGPT or AI or
Right.
any of that. I just
I don't even know
refuse.
how, so I
yeah,
don't
again-
even want to learn how, because then I feel like I'd be too much like.
I use
Can you
it
write
some-
my script for me?
I know. I use it sometimes as like a quicker Google search.
I have just said to myself, I'm like, and it's not like I'm immoral in so many other ways, but in this
Right.
stance, I'm just not going to even part. This is my small
But
little
everyone's a
protest.
hypocrite in certain ways, but
Yeah.
but you can't excuse your own behavior by saying like, "Well, you're all hypocrites too."
Well,
Oh,
I hate that shit when they're like,
Yeah.
America is bad too. It's like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
let's fix that.
Yeah.
Or like, look at
Then
these
come
phones
here.
you're using that were assembled in sweatshops. Yeah, everyone is a hypocrite in certain ways, but you can't excuse like a giant ethical lapse, by saying like, you have tiny ones.
You roll through stop signs. That's why I was able to bring home a journalist in a fucking suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I only use AI to like do videos of Trump playing guitar with Jimi Hendrix. That's the end. Like that's all.
And
I
you
want.
just sit
I
there
do love
watching
that
cry.
series you make.
With Keith Moon playing drums behind.
It's
There was a
Trump
great one,
fronting
someone-
different British bands.
Some fucking whack job right winger posted like an AI video of Charlie Kirk playing guitar, and it was with Freddie Mercury and Brian May. Freddie Mercury,
Yeah.
a gay immigrant, and Brian May alive.
Yeah.
But they're like in heaven playing, and Brian May is not even dead. And Charlie Kirk would play with the band Queen first.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that heaven is sort of like that, where everyone can do one audition at least. You know what I mean? How much of this has to do with health, by the way, that we've been
About
talking
the amount that we talked about.
Yeah, we talked about health quite a bit in the beginning, and that's the part
That's what it is.
We'll lead off that way.
Scott, you have anything you want to plug besides CBB?
Comedy Bang Bang World is that's the best, that's where I don't have to read ads. It's just people supporting not only me, but the artists that have shows on there. John,
I have
you
a monthly show
you have
on there.
a monthly show on there.
Oh,
And
the
you just
Gino Lombardo show.
And you just did a new episode of your show, which was very funny. And it's, a way where people can give right to, the people making the stuff, which is great. So CBB World is probably what I want to. Yeah, I have nothing else going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scotty.
Hey, thanks for having me
I
on.
appreciate
This is
you coming
awesome.
on, man. This
Pleasure.
is so fun.
I love you guys, and it's a pleasure to hang out with you.
I love
the
you too.
first two podcasts I ever listened to were, This American Life, WTF, and Comedy Bang Bang. And now we've had Scott.
First
and
podcast I was
Mara.
ever on.
Yeah.
It was kind
Are you gonna have Ira Glass on?
We should have Ira Glass on in New York. That's
Yeah, I'm sure he's dying to talk to us about health.
There I was.
This is my prescription.
Riding
of
a
my
bike.
glass.
I was truly shocked at my cholesterol level.
Scotty, thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me on.
Pass the aux cord for Scotty Ox.
What a great episode.
Dude, we should start saying that. That was a fucking good episode at the end.
I think I do that.
Well, I had fun. I don't care what the listeners
yeah,
thought.
no, this is all for us anyway.
This was a really fun one. We got into some stuff I'm really talking about and thinking about a lot with like money and our responsibility as comics in this world.
I also really appreciated the conversation about comedy and can you be funny and also be
buff or hot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is a question that is like worth asking. Like, do you need to be unobtained, like a non-object of sexual desire to be funny?
Yeah, the second you get too hot, can you be funny? Or
Right.
people look at
Or-
you in a different way.
Exactly, yeah. Which is a cross I have to bear that you've been carrying your entire life.
Yeah, I know. It's just something I've been dealing with. It's just like being. They're like, this fucking handsome guy is going to be funny. And I'm like, yeah, believe it
that
or not.
It's, if anything, what this podcast has done is shown that hot people can be funny.
We should wrap this up because thanks to being pretty close to the spokesperson, Jimmy John's sent over a little sandwich lunch for us.
Thank you, Jimmy John's, for sandwiches.
Stay alive.
Fuck, you got one. You know what? Fuck you. You brought Jimmy John's up. You thought I was in. Yeah, I probably did.
Got you distracted.
I feel like if John Mayer's allowed to do stand-up comedy, like you should be able to sit in with the dead or something. You know what I mean?
100%. I'm glad he stopped.
I think the world is.
Yeah.
But,
I think his music agent is.
He wasn't that bad at stand-up, but he is so good at guitar. It's just like one of those things where it's like, just do the thing you're awesome at.
Also, just be a handsome guy.
All right, Ryan Gosling, you guys don't have to do comedy. Can you just be
when I
hot
saw that Will Ferrell Ryan Gosling movie announced yesterday, I was like, damn it! Like, just let him be hot. He's so hot and ripped. Like, just let him do that.